performance impact on the whole system when you have a situation with the V40 series. For example, when you put your operating system and some application that you need to use, how much performance gain is there when the whole data that needs to be used is on the HDD drive?
Well, that really depends on the hard drive itself. So if you
it's bypassed, right?
Yes. Well, think about it this way. So if all of your drivers, your libraries, your operating system is on the SSD, and if your application requires the access to those drivers and libraries, let's say it's a printer, right? And you have a printer program sitting on the hard drive. When you double-click the printer program, it's going to load from the hard drive based on the hard drive speeds. But as soon as the program is running, it will ask for access to the operating system files and the drivers, and that's going to be faster. So you're going to be, obviously what the message is, you're going to be hampered by the speed of the hard drive, but it's still much better to have the SSD, and it really is dependent on the application itself. So if you have, for example, you have World of Warcraft, Aeon, any one of those massive games on your hard drive, if there's nothing on the SSD or on the operating system that it relies on, you will always be only seeing the hard drive speeds. But as we know, it uses video drivers, it uses sound drivers. As soon as it needs access to those, it's going to be faster. How much more faster? Really depends on what kind of hard drive you have to begin with. If you have the Velocity Raptor, which is one of my obvious favorites in the hard drive technology, being a fast drive, you will see less of a performance degradation because of hard drive loading this, SSD loading that. But if you have a first generation IDE hard drive, it's going to be very obvious that the speeds are going to be slower because of the speed of the drive.
Because I'm a music composer and user, and most of my job is working with the large files.
Makes sense.
Like
yeah.
Tens of gigabytes of stuff. So the V40 and even the bigger hard drives of 120 gigabytes are too small.
Yeah, I understand. I'm actually in the same area. I actually have done music in the past, and I do realize what your utility of the hard drive is. What you could do is, provided you have enough money, you buy a RAID 0 setup with 2 SSDs. So you buy 240s, you get 80 gigabytes. That's still not a lot. If you have a song, you're probably going to be spending 50 gigabytes, 60 gigabytes easily, depending on how many tracks you have and how high the quality of the audio is, right? Then you can switch over to having the V+ series. So if you have V+ series, you have 4 128s. That's like 512 gigabytes. And I tested personally on software RAID 0 on a typical gigabyte board. You can buy from any store. Nothing spectacular. It's not a gaming board. It's not a low-end board. I was receiving at those scores of peak 770 megabytes per second. So that's pretty good. And that, remember, I have not invested €0 on the RAID controller itself. It has a software RAID setup. Exactly. So if you have money to do that, you can definitely invest on a RAID 0 setup for your SSDs. And since you're doing music, I would almost imagine that a RAID 0 plus 1 or 1 plus 0 would be even better, because in the case there's a system failure, you have your data copied onto 2 machines, or you have a disk failure, you always have something else to back on.